Hey, Katie.
Hey, T.
How are things?
You know, same old. Pregnant as fuck.
Like on the cusp of birthing.
Look, we were walking today, and Tom tends to forget that I'm pregnant. And he started speed walking, mind you, like when you're 6 foot and I'm not 6 foot. Like his stride steps are. Even with Gil, I'm sure when you walk next to Gil, he's probably like. You have to like work to keep up with him. And at one point, like I was like holding my stomach and looking at him. I was like, we should slow down just in case. We're a mile from home. Like, what would we do?
Yeah, no, seriously. You'd have to like call an Uber.
Or like you're sprinting home and getting the car.
Yeah, or that. Or like calling your parents to come get you.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah. Could you imagine? Like, oh my god, I'll be right there. Could like only imagine her response.
No.
No, I actually don't think we would call her.
No, she would not be good.
Oh my god, Phil, I don't even know what to fucking do right now. We need to go get the kids.
She would get there fast, but like she's not. I feel like she's not good in like a high pressure situation.
Let's revisit the Germany trip. No. I'm crisis manager.
Right, exactly. Like, no, it would just be mayhem.
It would be mayhem. It'd probably put me into more of a labor situation.
Yes.
And we obviously don't want that too much because girlfriends breach. So
yeah, girlfriend
flipped. She flipped the wrong way.
She's feet first. So we definitely don't want you going into labor early. We're definitely okay with you just waiting.
Yes.
Another high pressure situation that Deb would not do well in is the Kajari, if that's how you pronounce it. Or Kajari. I was saying Kajari. Which is obviously this like once every 200 year. Yeah. Anyway, guys, we're here to talk about Serpent in the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. If you didn't know that, if you didn't know that and you just clicked on this podcast, that's what we're here for today. And let me just say, so back in January, we read Carissa's other book, one of her other books, Daughter of No Worlds, and we loved it. And I finished that series, and it's one of my favorites of all time. And I know that you read Serpent and the Wings of Night actually back in January. I think you read it. I think you read it before Daughter of No Worlds.
Yes.
And I've just been like waiting because so today we're recording on the 10th. Mm-hmm. Friday the 14th, the second book comes out. So I was like, I'm waiting until we get closer to the second book.
Like I'm actually going to start like the novella tonight. It's like 187 pages.
Yeah. Same. I love Daughter of No Worlds so much, or the Daughter of Lost Hearts trilogy, I guess we should say. And so I bought the hardcover physical book of The Serpent and the Wings of Night and the novella.
As you should have.
And I'm waiting because I want to. I know. I want to order the next one that's coming out, but it's not. It's only pre-order on Kindle because I think it's self-published, so you can't order the hard copy yet. But anyway, obsessed. I mean, everybody on TikTok and Bookstagram or whatever that we've seen talk about it has been obsessed. You loved it, and I was like, okay, let's do it for the podcast. That'll be like my motivation to read it before the next one comes out.
I think it's like important to note too with like this author, Carissa Broadbent. Yeah. She writes fantasy books that are, I wouldn't call them like surface level fantasy books. Like there's some world building in these books.
Yeah, there's like a lot of world building.
But it's not heavy or hard to get into. Because like a lot of high fantasy or like deeper, thicker fantasy, it kind of like takes you like 20% to like even be like, what the fuck is happening in this book? Or like who's who, what's what. She writes it very seamless where you're kind of just plopped in and you like get it.
Yeah. It's Kudos. Like it's very easy to understand right off the bat. Like, so they're very easy, I feel like, to get into because there's not a lot of like learning you're like, the way that she writes them, I feel like is like you're learning as you go. It's not like an info dump where like Crescent City is one of my favorite books of all time, the first one. But the first like 200 pages is such an info dump of like the world that it's very hard to get into at first. Like Daughter of No Worlds and this book are very like you learn as you go. So it's not overwhelming.
That, and she also wrote books that Daughter of Lost Worlds, is it the trilogy?
Daughter of Lost Hearts.
Lost Hearts. I knew she lost something. They're not that thick. Like book 1, Daughter of No Worlds, wasn't very big. I think it was maybe a little under 400 pages.
Maybe.
If I'm not mistaken. And Serpent in the Wings of Night is not very long either. Not very long. Nope, I'm lying. It's a little thicker. She's 532 pages.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Anything like under 600 is lighter. I'd say like 3 to 4 is like light in my eyes. So okay, Serpent of the Wings Night was a little thicker of a girl, but I appreciate that because I can't stand when book 1 of fantasy books are like 600 plus pages. Agreed. It's a lot to commit to.
So the physical book is only 478.
Thank you. That's why. Okay, that's why.
But the Kindle edition, I think, is longer.
It's longer.
But
because I was gonna say on my bookshelf, I was like, that thing is not that thick.
No, and like it's not. I mean, if you're watching and not listening, like it's not like
those are nice size words,
right? Like, that's what I say. Like the font isn't like super small. The margins are normal, so I don't know why the Kindle edition's different than the print copy, but you know, I mean, like it was very, very easy to get through, and it kind of like the book starts off like she's like almost like immediately like it's. You don't have to like wait like 200 pages to like get to the plot. Like she is immediately kind of thrown into the Kajari.
No, like, she's gonna be in it. Yeah.
You learn about her, like you learn throughout the story her relationship with Vincent. And in the beginning you learn, I guess, like more I would say like more like surface level about them before she enters, but you can like tell for sure that they have a lot of love for each other. I think that's another thing that Carissa does really well, and like this is not a spoiler for Daughter of No Worlds or the trilogy or anything. She writes villains really well where like you like them and you can sympathize with them and you can like understand their motivations, even though you know what they're doing sometimes is like bad or they are very much like acting like a villain, but they also have like a very human side to them. I loved Vincent. I thought that he would turn a lot worse. Okay. And then I'd be like, okay, like I have to like not love him. But I was like almost like surprised that he died. I didn't think he would die.
Me either. I was not expecting him to die this book.
I thought that it was going to be set up that like he is bad when it comes to ruling. Like he's a great father. He loves Araya.
Is he?
He's not. I think he is.
I think in a lot of ways he is. I think he tried to be the best he could be.
Yeah,
but also catering to what he wanted for himself and like his realm.
I mean, well, that's the thing. Like, I think that if you separate Vincent the King from Vincent the father, he's a great father to her.
Yes.
And again, like he's not human. So I think as far as like vampires go, because everybody basically in this book is vampire besides her. I mean, there are humans, but we don't really meet any other ones that we need to care about. We meet her one friend, Alana, who dies within like the first 100 pages. But I think like Vincent is this all-powerful, like very bad/badass ruler. And he's so soft for her.
Yes.
And I loved their relationship. I mean, like,
too.
I would have,
I also just, like, because I mean, reading some, like, the comments and stuff like that, like, the way he kind of, like, trains her, and he does come across, I think, at times as, like, a little cold to her, but I think you have to remember that she is a human and he is a vampire king, and, like, okay, so think about, like, us in, like, the real world, like, you're not going to be babied all throughout your life because you have to have a thicker skin to like survive in the real world. That's what he's doing for his daughter to prepare for this. Basically, you live or die. It's the Hunger Games. Like, so like he obviously wants her to come out alive. So he's trying to teach her like, this is what you need. These are the tools that I can give you. Like, you're human, so you are severely limited. So I'm with you.
Yeah.
Like, I think he's done the best that he can, and he has protected her. When it's kind of said throughout the book, like, he could have just gotten rid of her, left her.
He truly
like, he
loves
chose
her.
to take her in. Yeah.
I'm not saying he's obviously not perfect. I think that he did his best job as a father that he could. I think if you separate him as a ruler versus him as a father, I think he was a good dad to her. And even at the end when she, like, I guess technically betrays him at the end, not intentionally, but she does, because the whole reason for her to enter this is so that she can become, I'm not going to pronounce it right, so I'm not going to try it. So that her and Vincent can, like, link together so that she is also becomes immortal and also has his power.
Yes.
And that they can share power.
Him. Yeah.
Right. And she, Rain technically forces her to kill him, and she can't handle it. So her wish, because at the end of the Kajari, you get, like, one wish from the, like, goddess Nyaxia, and she wishes that Rain won instead. And even when Rain kills Vincent and he has, like, his, like, last words, it's basically like, I love you. Like, he doesn't get mad at her, upset with her. He like uses his last moments to be like, you were, like, to tell her how much he loves her.
Yeah. Also, like, because, I mean, the whole time, too, because they have another friend, and you're going to have to help me with her name. Who gets hurt. Misha. It, like, hurt my soul because you knew someone was going to die, and I didn't want either of them to die, or any of them, I should say, to die, and I'm so glad that none of them did die.
I know.
So thank you, Carissa, for that moment. But yeah, like, in the end, like, he literally is ready to, like, just be like, just end me. Like, I've had all these plans for so long. I don't care about them anymore. Just, like, do what you need to do, get it over with, but it shocked me when he killed Vincent. I mean, I knew he was going to, but it still was like, I really did that.
I forget the guy's name. He's like the Bloodborne vampire, Septimus or something like that. I honestly thought that, like, Vincent and Rain were going to, like, be battling for the kingdom, but then they were going to have to team up, like, that Oriah was going to, like, bring the Hiaj, again, I'm so bad at pronouncing these, but the Hiaj and the Rishin vampires together, because she was, like, with Rain, but, was, like, raised by the Hiaj, whatever, vampire king. I thought she was going to band them together, so Vincent and Rain, and, like, her as, like, the leader, against the Bloodborns. But then he killed Vincent, so now he's the king. And I do think that the Rishin and the Hiaj vampires are going to obviously team up. That's the whole point of their marriage and everything. Like, she is representing the Hiaj, Rain is representing the Rishin. And like, the general is like, well, you're our queen now because she has the air mark. So Jasmine, I think her name is.
Which I'm very on the fence about her.
No, I think I like her.
I know I like her. I just don't know if, like,
I think we can trust her.
Okay.
I don't know. But again, because, well, I mean, I guess we're going to see. But
we will see.
I think she's going to be, like, the connection that, like, the two of them are going to have to use both of their armies and find a way to, like, come to some sort of a, mutual truce, because they've been at war. Like, they're two different, like, species of vampire.
That's what I took.
Or races. They're two different races. I don't know why I said species. They're two different races of vampire that have been at, like, war with each other forever.
Yeah.
But, like, the bad ones are the Bloodborne ones.
Yeah.
And
I also think it just, like, to leave a little bit of a bad taste with Victor in your mouth is, like, she always wanted to kind of find where she came from, and was always pitched the idea that, like, not that, like, they, like, the race was okay, and, like, but it was like, oh yeah, one day, but, like, in reality, like, it's been completely demolished by him. And I think that's where, like, people get hung up on, like, oh, he's a shady ass motherfucker.
Right, but that's, I think, more of, like, the ruler in him.
You're right. That's the ruler, not the dad. I was a little upset when she was, like, pissed at what's his face. I can't remember any names. Yeah, thank you. Right now, but, like, I understand why
pregnancy
she was.
brain.
fucking times a million. Plus, I haven't read this since December, so excuse me. But like it kind of like made me a little annoyed, but like I understand why. Like annoyed in a good way, just like, oh my god, I just want them to be fucking happy together because I love them together. Like that's all I want. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I'm like frustrated that there is but like again, she watches her love she uses her one wish to bring her like lover back. He comes back and immediately kills her dad.
Yeah. Like I understand.
And like I mean again, like at the end he's explaining to her what happened. He's like baiting her into killing him. He's like, I will not he basically will not kill her. He has come to terms with the fact that like he wants her to win this tournament.
Yep.
Because he will not kill her, and like it doesn't matter what his plans were for his people, he will give it all up as long as she survives. She wishes for him to come back, and he's like, I'm sorry, I have to do this now.
Like I was trying to give you a way out.
Yeah. So like I understand where he's coming from, and she even says at the end, she's like, I know that he loves me.
Yeah.
But she is very conflicted. She also, I mean, she only, besides Vincent, her only other friend that she'd ever had in her life was this old woman, Alana, who's dead.
Yeah. She kept telling her to leave and run.
She dies very early on. And so I think that and Vincent was always like, you can't trust anybody because people, like, they will kill you. Like, they will take advantage of you. If they can get to you, they know that it'll get to me. Like, and he's right. I mean,
he's not wrong. Yeah.
He was probably, like a little fear mongering, like making her afraid of everybody so that she only trusted him and only relied on him. But at the same time, he wasn't wrong.
No, he was not wrong. I mean, you see a lot of her thought process with that throughout the beginning of the book because, like, you, like, kind of need to pair up. You see, like, other people kind of banding together to go after others to kind of, like, again, think Hunger Games. Like, you're looking to knock off players so you become on top. And she very much is like, no, I'm by myself. I'm in that greenhouse. Like, see you later. And it wasn't until she was like almost like basically dead that she was propositioned by Rain and Misha to kind of like join forces. And like she basically dragged her dead body to like where they were to kind of be like, okay. So she did channel a lot of that.
And I knew that was going to happen, that was going to be the only way that she would give in would be if she was practically on her deathbed. But in the beginning, like all that she's talking about is that she's this great warrior and Vincent is the strongest vampire ever, and he is like the ultimate warrior, and he's training her, and they're in the training ring together, and she gets the best of him. So you're expecting her to like come out in this
badass
Kajari or whatever, and she from the beginning is constantly like being like, she is brought close to death so many times in the beginning that I was like, she's not that badass.
No. That I felt the same way about that too. I mean, she does have some great moments. Like there's a couple of good fight scenes where I'm like, okay, like she's obviously holding her own. And I don't know if it's just more of like a play on the fact that she's human. But yeah, if you're like kind of being projected as like this great warrior, obviously you're great because you keep living, but like you are being
she keeps
brought
living
close to death.
Because people are helping her.
Yes.
She's meeting up with Vincent and he's giving her healing potions and like there's all, and again, of course, like she is the only human versus a bunch of like technically immortal beings.
Yeah.
But I expected her to be like a little more badass in the beginning.
Me too.
And then get herself into like a predicament where then she would need to lean on Rain. But like until she teams up with Rain and Misha, that's when she starts getting stronger, which again, I liked that aspect that he like forces her to be stronger.
Yeah.
And I loved like their friendship that they, I love the, like, I liked that they became friends before there was any,
I agree,
romancing. Them going into like the human lands and killing vampires who were there to murder the humans, basically, like illegally. And then we learned that Rain was human and he was very close to death.
Yeah.
And he's turned. You don't find out who he's turned by until the end.
Yep.
And he's basically raped for...
Yep.
It's not explicitly like, oh, I was raped. It was just like the person... It's very heavily insinuated. So he's raped for years and like abused. by the person who turned him. I guess if you are human and you are turned vampire, you are like basically like enslaved to them.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which is what he was, yeah.
Right. So he didn't have a choice. But because he was human turned vampire, he still has a lot of human qualities. And she's like constantly saying that he holds himself like very human like and has like a very human swagger, and he's always warm. Even though I think
he also always tells her like
turned,
don't
200
be so
years.
Yeah, and then like he's always so like he always tells her like don't just throw away like your humanity, like you're gonna miss it one day.
Yeah.
I keep whenever he says like don't you dare stop fighting, princess.
Yeah. And there she is. Every time like he is trying to goad her into having a reaction or stand up for herself or whatever, it's always there she is.
It's so cute.
And I was just like, Rain. I do love him.
I do too. I'm curious.
I would just be also upset if he killed my dad.
Oh, same. I'm like, because you would say that you loved the Daughter of Lost Hearts trilogy better than this so far, correct?
So far.
I'd be curious because like I did read this first, and like, but I haven't finished the Lost Hearts trilogy. I still have the third book left to read. And I might give that a go in audio. I'm not quite sure yet. So I'd be curious to see like what my thought process is versus yours, and if it's like maybe just because you read one first before the other. But I will say they're both fucking terrific.
Oh, I mean, I gave all of them the trilogy, and then this. I've given them all 5 stars. It's like literally comparing like ACOTAR to Throne of Glass. They're amazing. Like there's no comparison, but you do pick a favorite. I just like connected with Max and Tasana more than I connected to Oriah and Ray. I just like bought into their relationship a lot more.
I can understand.
And I have realized that like I don't want to say the older I get, but I have become a huge fan of a friends to lovers. And Max and Tasana to me is like a very friends to lovers type story. And like this is more enemies to lovers, which I do love. But I just think that I just loved I just loved Max and Tasana. If you haven't read Daughter of No Worlds, please go do it. People I think like The Serpent and the Wings of Night better, but I just feel like, all of them have been 5-star reads.
This is very okay. So people compare it to. I don't like the word compare. They bring up like Hunger Games a lot, and I think the only thing that's similar is just the fact that like you're in the Hunger Games, you're trying to kill people to become the winner. It's the same thing here. That's literally the only comparison you can make. And people tend to pair up to like knock others off. Like that's the comparison.
Yeah.
Because like to me, like I liked the Hunger Games, but it was never like I'm fucking obsessed with the series. So I feel like that can kind of dissuade some people. So don't take it that way. It's just the fact that it's a competition to be a winner and like get your wish.
Yeah, it's not at all similar.
Exactly.
In any other aspect besides it's like a battle to the death type thing.
So if you're like super into fast paced, book 1 has more action involved, some spice, some good spice too. Like I think this book caters to that.
It's a slow burn.
It's a slow burn, but it's fucking worth it because he's got some great lines in there.
He does.
There's a lot of like epic battles too. So like if that's more of your thing, and there is enemies to lovers, obviously, but it's like enemies to like, I don't want to say friends, but I guess you could say friends or like a common understanding of each other.
Yeah, I would even say that they're not even enemies.
No.
They're reluctant allies.
Yeah. They're competitors that become reluctant allies.
To friends, to lovers. Yeah, but from the beginning, he tries to save her the first
all
night.
the time. Yeah.
He's like immediately intrigued by her.
Yeah. He's like, who the fuck is this bitch? I like her. So like if that speaks to you more, I can see why people like this one more.
Yeah. Yes.
But I think you still need to read Nowhere Else trilogy. Just like me. I need to finish the last.
It's phenomenal. And you think you know who the villain is in Daughter? I don't want to get like too involved. You think you know who the villain is, and then it changes every book, and then like the ultimate villain at the end, it's not, they're not like, you love them. Oh my god, I can't. I love the villains. Not even in like they were great villains, but like they're just great characters. I don't know. Even in
she
this,
writes
like,
a really good character.
Yeah, because they're complex. Like, a lot of times, like, okay, like, we get, like, Amarantha and, like, the King of Hybern and Akatar. And I love Akatar, so this is not, a diss to Akatar. They're very one note. You're just, like, they are bad people. You don't really understand their motivations. Like, they are just horrible. Carissa's writing these villains, and they are, like, legitimately such complex characters that you like them, even though you know that you shouldn't. I mean, I've been sitting here defending Vincent the whole time, and I know that he's technically the villain of the story, of the first book at least, and I loved him, and I was like sad that he died.
Because I also just think it's more relatable because people in general are complex. Like, you might like someone, but like not like some things about them for certain reasons. Like, no one's perfect, but like, even in Daughter of No Worlds, when you find out who the villain is kind of like in book 1 and like a little bit of book 2, you can understand where his motives come from. Like, you might not agree, obviously, like what he's doing is very wrong, but because they are so complex, like you're saying, you can grasp why they're doing what they're doing.
Yeah, like Vincent, his motivations are to protect his people. Yeah. So he will do anything in his power to protect the Hyaj vampires.
Yes.
Or however you pronounce it, but whatever. So yeah, his motivation is like understandable, of like, you know, he loves his people,
and your daughter.
He loves, like, right? So he's like, I will do all these horrible things if it protects my people. And you can understand it, like, to an extent, right? I mean, if you don't, like, think too complex about it, but he still is, like, almost wiped out an entire race of people to protect his own, which is horrific.
Fucked up.
So you almost, like, it's like, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's so complex that I've liked, I think, or I've understood all of the villains in her stories, and I like that. Yeah.
But even
it's almost, this is like funny to say, I love Marvel, but it's almost like Thanos, right? Like, Thanos, you understand what he's trying to do in Infinity War. Like, you understand his motivations for it. You disagree with them and you want him to be defeated. Yeah. But you almost are like, but I kind of get it.
Yeah.
It's like I hate when villains are just like one note, just like, I'm all evil, because nobody's all evil or all good.
No, there's like a little mix. And again, we're not condoning evil behavior.
No.
Let's just say
his behavior is terrible. It's literally genocide. It's horrific.
But I think
she makes them sympathetic characters. Yes. Which is crazy, because also normally villains are all bad. Like,
yes.
And you don't get backstory on them.
No backstory, and like you're saying, the complexity. So again, you're looking at like a 500-page book, and she somehow is able to wrap up like worlds, characters, and like development for all of them, and like backgrounds without being muddied in like this. Like, what did I just read? A whole book on like a biography and like info dump? Like, no, it's an actual legit insane story. So it's pretty cool that she can do this, that we can understand these characters a lot more. But yes, mass genocide, we do not approve. But I like the complexity of the characters. Yeah, it just gives it more like a realistic vibe. Like, I feel like I'm in a real world when I'm reading this.
Right, yeah. I don't condone his actions. Again, this is a fantasy world, so like, I feel like we
have to start saying that now.
Real life, Vincent deserves to be dead.
Die.
I'm a sucker for like a father-daughter thing too. So the trials, the whole point of the Kajari or whatever, it's 5 trials. I'm just going to read it so that I don't mess it up. Okay. But it's 5 trials, each designed to pay tribute to the story of the goddesses' escape from the clutches of the White Pantheon and rise to power. So the full moon trial, the waning moon trial, half moon trial, crescent moon trial, and then the new moon trial. And they each take place 3 weeks after the prior. The details of each test shall be revealed as it begins and not before. So every like, and it's not even every 200 years. It's every, like, kind of whenever.
Yeah, like they thought it was going to be a certain time, and then she woke up and essentially was like in the Kajari.
Yeah. So, they know like when it's coming, but it's not like on like an actual schedule. Like the Hunger Games is once a year. This is like maybe every 200, maybe every 500, whatever. The goddess, I think, just kind of decides. And every time the different trials are different, but they have to do with her journey. So I guess she leaves the White Pantheon. She marries another god, which is like against the rules. The other gods kill him. There's like this whole thing. So each trial, depending on where they are at in her story, kind of coincides with that. I like want to learn more about her though.
Oh,
like this goddess.
Like
vampire goddess.
Yeah. Like we do. And I think we will get more.
Yeah, I mean there's no shot that we
have to.
don't, but I just
it's intriguing.
I'm so intrigued by her. And like she's not like, oh, like the god, like you meet her at the end. She's real.
Yes, she's alive.
She's very much a real goddess who just like kind of fucks with, I guess, these people like when she gets bored.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also like the I was trying my hardest. I remember when I was reading this book to pick up on breadcrumbs. Plus when I checked my Kindle, I like made notes, which like how cute am I? Because I never pick up on fucking breadcrumbs.
The cutest.
But I like the shock of like when you find out who Rain is also. Like I think that was like a cool little like twist in there also. Like he's not just killing Victor to kill Victor. Like there's a reason behind it. There's a reason why he's so well spoken and like sympathetic and kind of like pitches, because he always does like drop some stuff to her of like, oh, I have to do what I'm doing. Like he gives like little innuendos.
And he's like, oh yeah, I was like, I commanded them at one point.
Yeah.
I also like that you get his like backstory. Like he was married.
Yeah.
When he was human, he was married with a kid on the way. He was a privateer, so like kind of, I guess, just a guy on a boat. I don't know what he was doing. Forget. But the boat crashes. That's how he ends up not in the human lands and wherever they are. And that's when he gets turned because he's like, do I die? Like the vampire's like, do you want to die or do you want me to try to turn you? Apparently turning a human into a vampire is only successful like rare 2% of the time.
And like he wanted to get back to like his family.
Yeah, so he's like, oh yeah, like I have a baby on the way, turn me. Then he's enslaved to this man. By the time he makes it back to the human lands, his son I think is like 70 years old and is like wants nothing to do with him at that point. In the meantime, he falls in love with another woman. Who you find out so you basically find out that the person who turned him is the Rishan king. He falls in love with the queen. They have like a little affair. But she won't leave. So she ends up also dying. And then you find out that Vincent is the one who kills off the entire line. They keep talking about like air marks and how Vincent has his air mark because in order to become like to take over a position of power, you basically have to kill your entire family. So Vincent had to kill all of the Rishan vampires that were in power and anybody in that family line. And then he had to kill his entire family in order to take over and become a ruler. But he's a great dad, so I loved him. Anyway. Anywho. And then you know that like Rain has this huge scar down his back and he really like won't talk about it. You find out that it's his air mark that he burnt off so that nobody knew that he was the heir because it's like very rare, I guess, for him to have become like the heir because he technically wasn't born a vampire, obviously, and he wasn't directly related to the king. But the line always passes. So once Vincent dies, all of a sudden, Oriah gets the air mark on her neck where, Vincent's was, and she's the new heir.
Yes.
And then it's like, oh.
No one saw coming.
Is she the heir because Vincent picked her as his daughter? did he pick her as his daughter because maybe she's half human, half vampire? Is he like biologically her real dad? We don't know.
Like, you don't know. You really don't know. Like, all you know is like he picked her from rubble and like brought her to like his land. That's all you know.
And did he have an affair maybe with like a human servant?
Yeah, like, you have no idea.
Gets pregnant, leaves. Maybe he goes and he like destroys, I forgot the city name. Maybe he destroys it because he's looking for his daughter.
Yes, like you really have no idea.
I don't condone it, but we don't know.
No.
And I get
we're missing something.
So there's going to be, I believe it's 6 books in the what's it called? In the Crowns of Nyaxia series, but books 1 and 2 are the only ones I believe that are about Rain and Oriah. Mm-hmm. So that's the Nightborn duet, which focuses on the House of Night, which is her. Then there's the Shadowborn duet. Mm-hmm. Which is books 3 and 4, and then 5 and 6 is the Bloodborne duet. So we kind of have to get her, like, her whole story. We need to, everything I feel like needs to kind of be wrapped up by the end. Or at least Rain and Oriah's story has to be wrapped up by the end of book 2.
Agreed.
Is my understanding of what.
That's what I would assume. That makes the most sense. Or, their story wrapped up, but, maybe, certain things about the goddess, other things like that might come at the tail end, but their story concludes at book 2, I would assume.
Right. I would assume that maybe they're in power in books 3 and 4, and that is just done, and then there's just new characters that we probably will meet or have met.
I agree.
But yeah, just what's gonna happen?
I'm very curious. I read this fast too. Again, right now I'm just reading slow because everything's just slow for me right now. But it's also rated very high for a book 1.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it's rated very high on Goodreads.
4.52. That's pretty good.
For book 1 of a fantasy series, I feel like that's very high. I really liked Misha. I'm excited obviously to hear more about her.
I hope she's okay.
I think she is. Maybe one of the next books is about her. I don't know. But I liked her character. She's just kind of cute and quirky. I liked that the book was broken up into parts. So there's the first part, which is just kind of getting to know them, and then it's broken up into each trial is its own part, and there is a prologue, what does she call it? Interlude in the beginning of each chapter, and it's a flashback. So you learn more about Oriah and Vincent and how she grew up and things from the past, which I probably should have paid more attention to now knowing how it ended. Oh, probably. There's definitely more clues in there, so I'm do I have to go back? But I like that. I always like a good flashback, and I liked the way that she broke it up, that it was just a little short, maybe 3 to 5 page chapter in the beginning of each section, that just gave you more of an understanding of their relationship and Oriah, how she grew up.
I agree. It was so good. I'm excited now to start the novella tonight.
Yeah, same. See, this is Vincent. This is what I'm talking about. I don't know why I'm so sympathetic to him. It's really bad. He's horrible. I'm a wartime king leading my people through dark times. And Jasmine is a general who knows how to do whatever it takes to protect her kingdom. And sometimes those tasks require unpleasant actions. I won't deny that. But tonight I'm just a father who 12 hours ago was certain he just watched his daughter die. So please, little serpent, indulge me. Let me be that man for just a few minutes. He's at war within himself.
Yes. I think he also is very he realizes what he's doing is very wrong.
Yeah.
But loves his daughter and is going to, again, do what he needs to do for his people.
Yeah, I can't take credit for... Yeah, he goes, I can't take credit for everything that you've become, even if sometimes I wish I could. But if I'm responsible for just one small piece of that, it will have been the greatest accomplishment of my life. And this is like before he's done. Like this is just him talking to her. This is not like his like last words. Like he's on his deathbed. He really truly loves her.
I know.
I was right, and I was right. Septimus is I believe he's the real villain of the story. I thought that I was just like making that up as his name. It is his name.
Good for you. Look at you with the name.
This is a big deal for me. You guys know that I never remember anybody's names.
I love this was like fairly man, 200 page 290. He was on his knees staring up at me, and that the way he looked at me was the first thing that felt real and raw and confusing, because he looked at me in sheer awe, like I was the most incredible thing he had ever seen, like I was a fucking goddess. Like I love, like again, like right from the get-go, he is just so taken by
I was gonna
her.
say page 301. He goes, "Are you going to kill me, Uriah?" And she said, "Not tonight." And then he goes, "You might destroy me anyway." And then she was, "I saw it there in that moment, want and desire."
And like when her dad kind of like gives like some surprise visits to her, like at the beginning, like you could tell like she's just like, I'm gonna do whatever I need to do, like don't worry, I'm gonna kill whoever I need to kill. And then like once they start forming that connection, like she's in the back of her mind trying to not give him too much information, because she doesn't want him to realize that like she's almost becoming soft for someone. Like he could turn around and kill me at any time, and she's very aware of that. Like she says countless times, like he could just turn around this like broom and just kill me, and I'm done. Like it is what it is. But she doesn't do anything to like counteract that or go after him.
No. And they know that it's going to come down at the end to one of them having to kill the other. And they like kind of refuse to talk about it. And that's what I like. She thinks that he's going to try to kill her. And then he says, "There she is." And he's like, and she realizes he was goading me into trying to kill him. Because they're like kind of just sparring, and he's like, "Is that all? Like, is that all? Like, this is all you're gonna give me?" I know.
Ugh. Beautiful isn't enough. Angel. And then when she goes, "Fuck you," and he goes, "You wish I would."
I know. I thought he was. Is there I didn't want to look up fan art while I was reading it, so I had it. Like I haven't done it yet. I need fan art of him, because the way he's described, like I can't get a good picture of him. Like I almost picture him as like Cassie and her Hunt, but with like a dark red hair. Okay. And I don't know if that's.
I can see like a Hunt. I see like a Hunt, Rhysand combo a little bit, but I think I only pick up on the Rhysand because like Rhysand was so smitten with Feyre from the get-go, and like just so like I will do anything for her.
Right. And maids aren't mentioned at all in this book, like whatsoever. It's never come up, but they're like constantly talking about the way that they smell. Like she's talking about his scent, and she's human, or so we think, and she's talking about the way that he tastes. And at the end they enter into a marriage. It's like his way to save her, basically. And they have to slice their hands and like drink each other's blood. Mm-hmm. And she's like, she's describing the way that he tastes, which one is like, so she definitely has some kind of like.
I was gonna say, there's no doubt in my mind that she's fully human. She might be part human, but she's not fully.
She's not fully. And I think that she hasn't unleashed her full power yet. I think once she unleashes her full power, which we've seen parts of it, but I think once she unleashes her full power, that might unlock whatever this like other part of her is.
Agreed. She's gonna be an insane ruler, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, and I think that he's like totally down to just be like, it's her world. I'm just living in it.
Yeah. Like, I'll do whatever.
He doesn't like. That's the thing too. He has like, it's not like his lifelong dream was to be king. He doesn't care about ruling. He just wanted to stop Vincent's genocide against his race, which understandable.
Yeah. Like his thought is like only to protect people, and he even like it kind of explained, just like jogging my memory now, that like to get where he is in the trials and to kind of like be the person that takes us on, it's kind of almost like it's like a very Jesus moment. Like he started to just like gain followers. Like he had a belief, like a lot of people couldn't do anything about it, but he took it upon himself to be like, hey, this really needs to stop. Like, and people were just like, yeah, like you got this. And it's like, okay. Like, so all of a sudden you just like see him kind of progress along with like this notion that like he's going to be the one to like do this, and therefore like you're king of this, like, and this is what's going to happen, like, and stuff like that. It's kind of interesting
because he has the air mark, so like he's the only one technically that can rule them.
Exactly.
So he tried to run away from it. He burnt the mark off his back, and it did it.
Still
it
not working.
Matter.
Yeah.
No. It was funny because after the whole like Rain was dead, and then she brings him back. After Vincent died, I was like, the book's over, and then it just kept going.
I know.
And then it's like, now we're married.
Well, first off, too, like even when Rain dies, I was like, hold up, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean he's dead? Like I knew he had to come back, but I didn't know if he was going to come back like this book, next book, like I didn't know. Like you don't know.
I thought that she would either just wish him back alive, which I guess technically she did, or that she would like wish to become a vampire and like somehow like return him. I don't know. Again, I was like, I don't know how it's gonna work. I wasn't like worried that he was gonna stay dead, which
no, same. But I was
a page
like,
later, he's back alive.
Literally a page later. It was a quick turnaround, quick death.
Nyaxia goes, I know grief, I know what it is to lose half of one's soul, and whatever, blah, blah. And then she goes, a dead lover can never break your heart.
Yeah.
And then Araya, after what happened, she was like, oh, I mean, should I have just let him stay dead?
Yeah,
which,
like, what am I doing?
But also, I mean, and they're up against a lot. Jasmine says it, even, Rain says it, that there are a lot of people who don't want to see either of them in power.
Yeah.
Which is why he's like, we have to get married because it protects you against my people, and it puts us both in a position where we're more powerful together than obviously apart.
Exactly.
But even Jasmine is like, there are people who don't want to see you in power either.
Yeah.
Because to everybody, you're human. How can you rule a race of vampires?
And like you're not even safe in like where you are. Like it could be internal people. Like you have no idea.
Yeah.
Ugh, I can't wait. 4 more days.
I know. I'm honestly dying for it.
I know.
So I think I'm going to also start the novella tonight. And then Friday. But
it's like one of those series that I'm going to start the minute it comes out.
Okay, so you guys, Katie's giving birth in 2 weeks.
This is correct.
So what I'm thinking, Katie Jean, again, nobody here needs to like worry about our schedule, but since we're on, next week we have a Spilling the Tea, and then Wednesday the 26th, which you will either have just given birth or about to, is Her Greatest Mistake by Hannah Cohen episode.
Yes.
So what I'm thinking is we read the novella like today and tomorrow, then we do Her Greatest Mistake the end of the week.
Okay.
Yeah, because and then we'll just record it early. So just depending on when, because I have surgery the 26th. I was gonna say we're both
gonna be in a bed post surgery.
Right. So I think it's just better if we just get it out of the way, record early.
Agreed. And that's actually smart.
And I just think that we don't put out a May schedule.
Okay.
Until after you've given birth, and then we can. So
I do have it prepped. Like it is. Let me go.
We can even do. I mean, we can even just be crazy and do, because again, like when you're taking care of a baby and recovering from a C-section, I don't want you to have to worry about like, oh, I have to read this. We can just do like 2 spilling the teas early, and then the last 2 weeks we can do. But our May schedule is up in the air, or
yes, it's to be determined.
Or what's up for debate. I think we did.
I literally have it. Like I literally have it. You can't even see it. I have it like mapped out and made because I was like, I'm not gonna think. And like the May 3rd, thank God, is a Spilling the Tea episode, so that kind of works out.
Yeah.
But like the 10th technically is fantasy, then the 17th Spilling the Tea, and then because there's also 5 Wednesdays in May.
Well, we were gonna do Crescent City as one of them, right?
Yeah. Which we could still do because like I
love how we just we need to talk things out.
We do. Also, like, in the month of May, you and I are going to Taylor Swift. Like, we've got some shit going on.
So much stuff going on.
I also have, like, a bridal shower one of those weekends. Someone even said to me, they're like, wait, how do you have, like, all these plans, like, post-birth? Like, shit doesn't stop.
Okay, you know what we can do? We can do 2 spilling the teas kind of back to back.
I'm down with that.
Which are just, like, check-ins. Then we can do Crescent City instead of, like, a new fantasy read.
Okay.
Then another spilling the tea. And then was Happy Place? What was our...
Yeah, it was Happy Place. And I like that because, like, romance is so easy for us to both blow through.
Yeah, and it's Emily Henry. It's not like it's like a 500-page romance book.
Exactly.
It's probably going to be like 350 pages. And I know that it comes out on the 25th, and I'm going to read it that week.
Exactly.
Okay, so, I mean, we will finalize it offline, but just... We always post on Instagram our schedule, yes. So if you guys are wondering, but I think that's what we'll do. We'll probably just do a recap of Crescent City 1 and 2 instead of a new fantasy read. And then again, too, like if it's overwhelming and we just don't have an episode 1 week, then we just don't have an episode 1 week. It's motherhood. You're allowed to take a week off.
So true.
I could just sit here and talk to myself for an hour too.
I mean, honestly, same. Honestly, like I also laugh because Tom's like, you can like go totally take Leah up to Teresa's and like do episodes. I was like, I don't think a newborn screaming in the background is gonna be what people want to hear.
She's also infants. Honestly, are so easy. They mostly just sleep, eat, and shit,
and lay there.
Like that's all they do.
Exactly.
It's just
like you can watch her.
Yeah, like you'll just be tired because it's like the 3-hour schedule where you have to wake up in the middle of the night. But
you know what? I don't want to hear that shit. No one fucking tells you that like insomnia is fucking real in your 3rd trimester because I don't sleep now.
Yeah.
I literally the other night woke up at 3 a.m. and was up from 3 to 5 and literally in that epiphany around 3:30 was like, oh my God, it's going to be my husband's first Father's Day. He's obsessed with golf. I'm going to get her a newborn baby a really sick fucking caddy outfit because we're going to go meet him at the golf course on Father's Day because he's in a league, take him out to lunch and happy Father's Day. That came to my mind at 3:30 in the morning. You're up. No one tells you that. No one tells you that. So I'm telling you all that. You're not going to sleep the last couple weeks of pregnancy. So I feel like I'm prepped for not sleeping.
I think, yeah. Also, I'm not pregnant and I'm up in the middle of the night all the time anyway, too. So if you're up, text me.
Also, like, hashtag anxiety is to wake up all the time, too.
Yeah. But yeah, overall, The Serpent and the Wings of Night, Carissa Broadbent, 5 freaking stars. Go read it. I mean, if you listen to this episode, we spoiled it all for you. Go read it. Go read her other series as well. She has another, like, it's in the same world, but it's not connected. But another book coming out, too, at the end of the month, like Slaying the Vampire King or something like that. Pre-ordered that already. I honestly think that she, again, I've only read 4 of her books so far. We'll see how this next one is on the 14th and the new one that she has coming out at the end of the month. I think that she's going to be one of my favorite fantasy authors.
I have to agree with that statement.
Like,
I love everything that she's given us so far.
And, like, I have given everything 5 stars
but
so
this
far.
is like good shit. Like, this is good shit. This is like the shit that you, like, if you're reading on a Kindle, you're buying it immediately because you need the physical copy and then you think about it here on out.
Like, after reading the Daughter of Lost Hearts trilogy, I immediately bought the books.
Yeah.
I read them on Kindle Unlimited. I immediately bought them. And it was to the point where it was like, I just went online and bought, I didn't even need to read Serpent and the Wings of Night on Kindle first. I just knew I was going to want it.
Exactly.
She's become an instant buy author after only 4 books. So, yeah, obsessed.
It's so good.
But yeah, that's all we have. Like I said, next week Spilling the Tea, then our first hockey romance after
Which
that.
Is so
and then,
shocking.
I know. And then Katie will be a mom.
And Teresa will just be getting surgery.
Again. But that's what I do here. If you guys have any questions about anesthesia.
You're going to become Auntie T.
Yes. I'm also going to be her mom.
I mean, duh. She's
like,
got 2 moms.
She's going to call you mommy, and she's going to call me mama.
We should just go out in public and push her and, like, have Tom in the background. Like, just keep calling him daddy.
Yeah. I mean, it's basically
what's going to be happening anyway, so.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I have. Do you have
That's all
anything
I
else?
have as well. No.
All right, well then we will see you guys next week. Katie, thank you.